Tuesday Talks. When we started this, actually Virginia and the membership committee started these talks last year about this time, Virginia, and they were focused on membership, and it's kind of morphed into a talk every month on a topic that's of interest to district Rotarians. And so tonight's talk is on Toastmasters at Rotary. And the strategic alliance between Rotary International and Toastmasters allows both organizations to leverage their unique and similar strengths. So in advance of turning the program over to our one of our facilitators, I'd like to thank Peter Hernandez, Rotarian Peter, from the Rotary Club of Oshawa for organizing tonight's session. So Peter, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Beth. Hello, Rotary District 7070, and welcome to this Toastmasters orientation. As well, welcome to all the Toastmasters that are here on the call today. There are probably going to be about 100 of us on today's call, and everyone here is here for something different. And there's going to be takeaways from everyone. Even for that person that just said, I don't have a problem with speaking. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about speaking, it's about speaking effectively, knowing your audience and maintaining their interest. So let me start off and allow you to ponder the words of comedian Jerry Seinfeld. He says, speaking in front of a crowd is the average person's number one fear. Yeah, number two is death. Two is death. So that means for the average person, if they're at a funeral, they would rather be the one in the casket than up at the front giving the eulogy. We're going to take some housekeeping now. And for the housekeeping, we just want to let you know that agendas such as this for today's session will be dropped in the chat for those that want to follow along and see what's there. Also, speaking of the chat is a great place to ask any questions as they come up, because towards the end of the session, we will be responding. In that agenda, you will also find contact information for the two presenters, and tonight's session is being recorded should you want to reference back to it or share it. The next part of the program is presentations. Presentations, we've all heard the expression, oh, our next guest needs no introduction. Now, between us, that's a cliche and a cop-out. Everyone deserves a few kind words and to feel important. And at Rotary, there's no shortage of opportunities to introduce guests. So that said, it's my great pleasure to introduce Mark Blackmore. He is the Area Director for Toastmasters Area 44. He's a member of 2 Toastmasters clubs and has taken on several club officer positions, including president. All this in the 3 short years he's been a Toastmaster. He's worked for the Durham Police Services Auxiliary Unit for 23 years. And you may be asking, what's his connection to Rotary? Well, it's a personal one. His fiance, Heather Drakes, is a member of the Rotary Club of Oshawa Parkwood, as well as on the district's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Early Act committees. So you could say that Mark is marrying into Rotary. So let's say I do. Let's welcome today's co-presenter, Mark Blackmore.
Thank you very much, Peter. and it's my pleasure to introduce Peter Hernandez. Peter's been a Rotarian for 3 years. He's a member of the Rotary Club of Oshawa and is its president-elect. He's been a Toastmaster for 9 years. His passion for personal communication has led him to try improv, stand-up comedy, and competitive inspirational speaking. In Rotary, he's found speaking opportunities as a facilitator at the Rotary Leadership Institute, co-emceeing World Polio Day, and filming numerous Rotary video updates for Snapped Oshawa. Why is he in Rotary and Toastmasters? Continuous improvement, self-challenge, and making a difference. Help me welcome Peter Hernandez.
So our next slide will be the agenda. We'll ask Paul to put up the agenda as Mark walks you through it.
Thanks, Paul. And how about everybody give a round of applause for Paul Bates, who is our Zoom master today. You probably won't see much of him, but he's instrumental in keeping things going behind the scenes. So thank you very much, Paul. We appreciate it. In front of you, you have an agenda, and it's a pretty typical agenda for a Toastmasters meeting. What the agenda does is it sets out what's planned for the meeting and the times allotted for it. And both of these things are very important at a Toastmasters meeting. Firstly, the planning, it shows leadership and collaboration. And secondly, the time, because sticking to your time as a speaker is a very important thing. And also sticking to your time if you're an organizer of a meeting is very important, because it's important to be respectful of the people that you're leading and the time that they're giving to whatever it is that you're doing. In a normal Toastmasters agenda, you'll have 2 parts. You'll have a speaking part and an evaluation part. That's not so much for our agenda today, but we're going to do our best to stick with the agenda that we have for tonight's meeting. As Peter said earlier, Paul did drop a PDF copy of the agenda into the chat, so you can download it from there if you'd like to follow along. Next, I'm going to turn it back over to Peter. Next I'm going to turn it over to Paul, who's going to play a short video. And it's a video showing a previous Toastmaster president and a previous Rotary president talking about the alliance between Rotary and Toastmasters.
As you may have heard, Toastmasters International is thrilled to be working with Rotary International and its vast network of clubs and members. Both of our organizations value developing strong communication and leadership skills. These are skills that can have a real impact on a person, both personally and professionally.
And yet, as similar as we are, we also take pride in our unique strengths. For Rotary, our greatest asset is our ability to unite people and take action to create lasting change. Aligning with Toastmasters, I am excited for the new opportunities our members will have to make connections locally and learn new skills.
Our alliance starts at the grassroots level. We encourage Toastmasters to locally engage with Rotary members and seek out mutually beneficial ways to work together. As part of the alliance, Toastmasters is designing a leadership development program for Rotary and Rotaract members. There will be 8 courses that include speech assignments and peer evaluation.
At Rotary, our vision statement says that we strive to make lasting change, not only in communities around the world, but also within ourselves. Working with Toastmasters is an exciting opportunity to reflect inward and find new ways to grow.
Both of our organizations have a track record of transforming lives, though in very different ways. Rotary is dedicated to serving the world through service. Toastmasters is dedicated to serving the world by building a person's communication and leadership competencies. When we put our two organizations together, we can make an even bigger impact on the world.
Thank you very much. So it looked like both those presidents were having a lot of fun making that video. So what we're going to try to do now is interject a little bit of fun, a little bit of quirky fun with something that Toastmasters call the word of the day. Now, this is a random word that's selected at the beginning of a Toastmasters meeting, and it's meant to reinforce listening as you listen for this word throughout the meeting. And it also gives you the opportunity to interject it if you ask a question. And when you hear that word, we're just going to do this. So then we'll look around to see who's doing this. That means you were paying attention and you heard the word of the day. So today's word of the day is tool, T-O-O-L. And there, Paul just put up a quick definition: something used in performing an operation or necessary in the practice of a vocation or profession. The word of the day, listen for it, is tool. In this next segment, we're going to do prepared speeches. Prepared speeches are a pillar of Toastmasters and are also a tool. And to help Mark keep track and on time, one of the Zoom masters and Toastmasters, Paul Bates, that we introduced you to earlier, has agreed to be the timer. He will be working the timing lights and display the green light at 5 minutes, the yellow lights at 6 minutes, and the red light at 7 minutes. This will help Mark pace himself. And once again, timing lights are a tool of Toastmasters. Then evaluations are another pillar, component, and tool of Toastmasters. So while you're listening, feel free to include in the chat something that you feel Mark is doing particularly well. And then also throw in a comment about an area of an improvement or something that you could pass on some advice about. So with that, fellow Rotarians and Toastmasters, Mark Blackmore, a familiar story. A familiar story, Mark Blackmore.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'd like to start off by telling all of you a familiar story. I'm sure you've all heard it once, twice, 3 times before. It's a story that starts in the early 1900s, actually in 1905. It's a story about a man who had a wonderful idea and he put it into action. He was a professional and he wanted to start a club, so he did. It started out as a single club, but it quickly grew and grew and grew as word spread all outside the area, and other people thought it was such a great idea that it caught on and they wanted to start clubs in their area. Right now, it's an international organization. There are clubs literally in every single corner of the world. The organization has an international head office with paid staff to support it. It's subdivided into regions, which are then subdivided again into districts, et cetera, all down to the very foundation of the organization, which is its clubs. The leaders at every level are voted in by their peers, and they're all volunteers. Clubs meet weekly or bi-weekly for 60 minutes or 90 minutes or even 2 hours. And this organization currently has 364,000 members in 145 countries and over 16,200 clubs. I'm sure by now you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Rotary I'm talking about Toastmasters International. Dear Rotarians, fellow Toastmaster, and honored guests, I'm going to start off with a little bit of history. Ralph Smedley was the director of education at the YMCA in Bloomington, Illinois. He saw a need for the young men in his community to learn how to speak and conduct meetings and plan programs and work on committees, and he wanted to help them. He organized a club and designed a program where the young men could learn these skills in a social environment. At the time, Toastmaster was a popular term that referred to a person who gave toasts at banquets and other occasions. So he named the group the Toastmasters Club. Cheers to Rotary. The formula back then was pretty much the same as the formula is now. Use club meetings as a tool to provide, I'll say it again, use club meetings as a tool to provide the members with experience and to facilitate their learning and growth. The participants took turns leading and speaking at each meeting, while the older, more experienced men evaluated their speeches, and the younger men were invited to provide feedback as well. Today, being in a Toastmaster club will help you learn to speak more clearly and more effectively, and avoid using filler words such as, you know, right? And to become a more engaging and dynamic speaker. You'll practice both preparing and delivering a prepared speech, as well as speaking off the cuff, so you're a more self-confident and better speaker regardless of the circumstances you're in. Every Toastmaster meeting has an evaluation portion where members practice their active listening skills and learn how to evaluate and provide constructive feedback to others. There are opportunities to practice your organization, time management, and leadership skills, and they're available in every meeting, or as a club executive, or even as a member of the district leadership team if you choose to go there. Because in Toastmasters, just like in Rotary, you'll get out of it as much as you decide to put into it, and you get to choose how much and how often to participate. Every one of the more than 16,000 Toastmasters clubs has the same club mission statement: to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Every Toastmaster is there for the same reason: to learn and grow, and to help each other learn and grow. Rotary is about service above self. Rotary is about making your community and the whole world a better place. Toastmasters is kind of about the same thing, but it goes about it a little differently. Toastmasters is about providing a service to yourself. It's about making you the best you that you can be. It's about your personal growth, about you becoming a better speaker and a better communicator and a better leader. It does that by giving you a lot of tools. And by doing that, by having your best self, you make your best self available to your family and your job and your community. And yes, even your Rotary Club. And by default, they all get better. Back to you, Peter.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. As you see, a tremendous example of what a prepared speech is. 5 to 7 minutes on a topic of your choice. The next segment, we'll put up a slide here. Paul will help me put up this slide. It's tools. Once again, some more Toastmaster tools. So that's not quite it. That's further down in the program. It's the slide that actually says Toastmasters Tools. It's kind of blue and looks like a cloud. So Toastmasters is effective at making lasting change in people because of these tools. These tools are designed to build skills and make you more effective in leadership and communication. That's the slide. Thank you, Paul. So here's a list of some of them, many of which are incorporated into today's presentation. And the benefit is a direct carryover into Rotary. The first one, the environment. Toastmasters is a safe environment. The moment you walk in that door, you just check your ego at the door and you just go with the flow. Everyone there is for the same reason, to improve themselves and to help improve you as well in the process. So what happens in Toastmasters stays in Toastmasters. Meeting roles. Meeting roles like the timer that you were introduced to earlier, evaluators, speakers that come with their prepared speeches. And there's even another role called grammarian. The grammarian one is an interesting one and helps with a lot of learning. So this individual sits there the whole meeting and does nothing but listen. And like Mark mentioned earlier, he's listening for those filler words, the ums, the ahs, the repeated back-to-back words. And at the same time, he's listening for your grammar. He's looking for good use of grammar, as well as great use of vocabulary. And at the end of the meeting, you get a bit of a report and a feedback. Then there's executive roles. Rotary has them as well, if you choose to use them. Mentoring. Toastmasters has mentoring, where new Toastmasters, when they walk in the door, they're assigned a senior Toastmasters. And I guess to an extent at Rotary, you can do the same thing. You can identify someone that's doing things that you'd like to be doing, or someone who you just like the way they are or their style, and you can approach them to be a mentor. Then we have the assignment manuals. In Toastmasters, it's called Pathways, and it's gone relatively electronic now. And there's been an interesting adaptation for Rotarians. It's within the Rotary Learning Center. Later on in the presentation, we'll go into the specific, where specifically to find some of these manuals to work off of and what they are. Then lastly here we have the 3 pillars of Toastmasters: prepared speeches, evaluations, because by evaluating your fellow peers, and keep in mind, evaluation is different from critique. So you can't just speak your mind and say, hey, that was awful. No, you're doing so in a way that's respectful. And we actually like to take 2 or 3 things that you felt the speaker did well, and then maybe just 1 point of improvement. Always recognizing that your feedback is little more, I'll say it again, little more than your own personal opinion. So we invite speakers to receive and take in that feedback and then use what works for them. The 3rd pillar, because I've just rhymed off 2, is impromptu speaking. We call it table topics. Now, during a table topics session, the table topics master stands up at the front, and he can see who's in the who's at the meeting and who's willing to participate. And if you are willing to participate, the table topics master will ask a question, a random question, and then he will say your name. In that moment, you stand up and you talk for a whole 60 seconds, a full minute, about what was just asked. And then when you're done, you sit down. Now, it may not seem like a big deal, but for people that aren't used to getting up, those 60 seconds seem like you're being asked to stand up for an hour. So enjoy it, have fun. If you're following along in the agenda, what we have planned for you next is actually an opportunity to try table topics, to try impromptu speaking in these breakout sessions. We have invited Toastmasters here to help us run these sessions. They will be reading off the questions. They have the questions in hand. They will go to one of these breakout rooms with questions in hand. Whoever zooms in their breakout room, once everybody is settled, they will have the opportunity to participate with a random question, 60 seconds. They will tell you when the 60 seconds are up, and then they'll provide you a little bit of feedback as we go on and ask the next person. So Paul, our Zoom master, will send you off into breakout rooms and bring us all back in about 15 minutes. The only rule that we have is to have fun. Don't sweat it. You don't have to participate once you're in that breakout room if it's just something you're not comfortable with. But if you'd like to stretch your comfort zone, just put your hand up and say, yeah, shoot me a question. Paul?
I was the guest in the meeting. Yeah.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah, that was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a good question. I attended my first Toastmaster meeting via Zoom, and as a guest with just a month or two ago with Mary Lou Harrison spoke. So at one of the clubs. So she had promoted it around Rotary. So I joined in and thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, good. That's great. And did they welcome you back for more?
Oh, yes.
Good.
Of course, I'm the president of my club in Sterling, and I'm extremely busy, but it certainly might be something I may pursue in the future, especially when times have changed and things are going via Zoom. It seems to be a little bit more convenient for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm an area director in Toastmasters, so I'm responsible for a pod of 6 different clubs. Like I support a pod of 6 different clubs, much like your ADs in Rotary support a group of clubs. And 2 years ago, the area director would be gone either all the time or they would never see their clubs because they would be driving from Bowmanville to Whitby to Ajax to South Oshawa to North Brooklyn, trying to go around to all their clubs meetings. And now I just jump on, like I try to go to a club meeting once every couple of weeks for every one of my clubs, because it's literally an hour or an hour and a half from the time I log on to log off. There's no travel, there's no getting dressed other than throwing on a shirt if I want to. I don't have to brush my teeth, and it's really a fabulous way of doing business.
Too much information.
You realize we're all back in the meeting, Mark, right? That's a great segue into Mark's next section.
Are your meetings sound?
Mark, I'm excited to have your fiance speak tomorrow as our guest speaker at our Rotary Club of Sterling meeting in the morning. So I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I hope she's feeling well.
Thank you. I'll pass that on. I hope she's feeling well too, because it's absolutely much better when she's feeling well.
Mark, tell her she owes me a phone call too.
Okay, I will tell her. Is that Bob?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob, I sent you an email begging for forgiveness to reschedule and you didn't reply. I sent it to you
did you?
April 2nd, I believe.
Okay, we'll chat, Heather.
Mark, I'm just going to interject here, Mark, as we try to keep on track with the agenda.
Yeah.
The next segment is called What's in it for you? These are the transferable skills. And Mark, it's all yours.
Thanks very much. I'm just going to ask, if you aren't on mute, if you could please mute yourself once again. That would be greatly appreciated. And I'm also going to preempt my segment by saying, coming up very shortly, we are going to have the Q&A portion of our meeting. So if you do have any questions, even while I'm talking about this next segment, please feel free to throw them into the chat. And then our Zoom master, Paul, will feed us the questions as we go. So our next segment is called What's in it for you? And it's really talking about the transferable skills or the tools that are there, that you'll learn in Toastmasters that you can bring over to your Rotary experience as well as your everyday life. So the first transferable skill is confidence. And that confidence comes from doing. It's not magic. It's not you walk in the door, you're there for 60 minutes, you walk out and you're a transformed person. It comes from learning and doing. Our district director, so the person above me as an area director, she has a phrase and her motto is learn by doing. And that phrase is all throughout pretty much everything we do. You don't have to be perfect at it. We don't expect you to, we don't want you to be perfect at it. It's all learn by doing. Don't think you can do it? Try it. It's the safest place in the world. It's a place to break out of your comfort zone. It's a safe place, a supportive place, and it really is learn by doing. The other part of that is repetition, because you get a chance to practice something over and over and over. You can do a table topics every meeting. You can take a role in the meeting. And if you don't think you did that hot, that's okay, because you can go back and do it next week, or do it again and do it again and do it again. And you'll get better and more comfortable. And that's exactly what it's all about. Another transferable skill are team skills, because Toastmaster Club is really just like a big team, and you learn to work together. I'm sure just like you do in Rotary, and that's what makes it transferable. If somebody has a role and they can't make it that meeting, then it's incumbent in somebody else to step up and say, hey, yeah, I can do it. I might not be totally prepared, but I'll give it a try. It has a club executive that, again, works as a team, much like your Rotary Club executives do, to make the club function and the meetings run. And it's these leadership opportunities that constantly come up that build your skills and your team skills as well. Toastmasters is big into the soft skills. When you walk into a room, you get a handshake. There's a person specifically designated to be at the door to greet everybody that comes in, whether you're a member or walking in off the street. There's Paul Bates standing at the door, Sergeant at Arms. Hi, welcome, nice to meet you. Glad you're here. What's your name? Did you come with somebody, or did you just come because you heard about us on the internet? We're so glad you're here. You also learn how to give feedback. You learn how to think critically and actively listen, and then take those two skills and put it into feedback to communicate with other people in your club regarding their role or their speech, much like you all did tonight. You've already started using that tool when you put your comments in the feedback. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is the listening skills. Because let's face it, our communication and our ability to focus on something is limited to between 5 and 10 minutes. I'm sure that's not the first time you've heard that in your life. your focus starts to wander away onto something else. Sorry, what? Right, 5 to 10 minutes. But through Toastmasters, you learn to actively listen for a much longer period. And you learn to think about what you're hearing as you hear it, because you might be asked to give feedback on it. And those active listening skills are definitely transferable to everything you do at Rotary. I'm going to throw it back over to Peter now, and he's going to go over a couple of additional transferable skills.
Thanks, Mark. One of those is personal expression. In Toastmasters, we're big on expressing ourselves and expressing ourselves fully. Everything from eye contact to vocal variety. Take it down low, bring it up higher. Let your voice hit the back of the room. We're also big on gestures, using of the floor. And when we talk about the floor, in a Zoom atmosphere, it might be the screen. You can emphasize by moving here and there, coming up. You can try all these things in your presentation. Here at Rotary, where are you going to be able to find some of these assignments? Paul, if you could bring up the screenshot of the Rotary Learning Center. So the Rotary International has taken a few pages out of the Toastmaster textbook, and these are assignments. You can see there on your screen, right there, there's about 7 different introductory type projects. I think in total there's about 12. So one is an orientation, but then there's a manual on how to develop a speech, how to create an inspirational speak, some tips on delivering a speech. So I invite you to go in there, check out this resource. The path, as I wrote it down, is in myrotary.org. You go to Learning and Reference. From there to the Learning Center, into Professional Development Courses, and from there you'll be able to select that. If that was too quick, we will email that out. If you could change the next slide, Paul, as I'm looking at the clock, and we're going to have to make up some time here. That's an example of what you'll see in one of those manuals. This is a worksheet that helps you craft a speech. The next one I wanted to highlight because this is how you would be evaluated when you give a speech. And it's not necessarily because you're going to be an evaluator, but by looking at this, it helps you think of things that others will be looking for. So this will help you include or focus certain things in your speech, particularly the next slide here. This is everything from clarity is being looked at, eye contact, vocal variety, the gestures, the comfort level, the interest, in that being your interest in giving the speech as well as the audience's interest. Next, do we have time for a question or two before we do the wrap up? I know we're big on getting out on time, and I'm not sure. Mark, what do you think?
I think a quick one or two. I'm not sure how many are there.
We actually only have 2 questions right now. Susan asks, do you encourage pauses to shift direction or introduce new topics?
Yes, of course. Any time you can do that pause, it creates intrigue because people are listening for what's coming after that pause. That's why it's a beautiful tool, beautiful instrument to use in transition, or just to have people lean in a little bit and say, what's she gonna say next? If your pause is excessive, then it won't be as effective. But even for a second and a half, 2 seconds, it's a great tool to use. But I think with that, I'm gonna wrap this up. As we do wrap it up, we have a challenge. We have a challenge for everyone on this call, for the Rotarians on this call, to go to the Rotary Learning Center, to go through the brief introduction on Toastmasters, select one assignment, and create your speech. Create that speech, and then connect with Mark and I. Connect with us, and we will put you in touch with a local Toastmasters club. You will be put onto, we will place you and make sure you're placed onto an agenda at a Toastmasters meeting where you come in as a guest, you're pre-planned on the agenda to give your speech and receive feedback. That is our challenge to you. Prepare one of these speeches and go out there and try it out and get to know the local Toastmasters clubs. Mark?
Yeah, as Peter says, almost every club is welcoming guests. I personally have 6 clubs in my area. They meet on a Tuesday at lunch, a Tuesday evening, a Wednesday evening, a Thursday at lunch, a Thursday evening, and another club that I'm involved with has Sunday morning meetings. There are meetings just like Rotary that go on every day of the week from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So let us know and we will definitely get you into a meeting. You're on mute, Peter.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'd like to say a big thank you to Rotary District 7070. It's been our pleasure participating here with you. Thanks for the interest you've shown. And thank you for our Toastmasters that have come out. I turn the meeting over to Beth.
Thank you so much, Peter. And you as well, Mark.
So I'll just say a few words here. I know Beth is getting back in the call. So the fact that Rotary, first of all, I really enjoyed the session tonight. Peter and Mark, so well done. I took a lot from this session. The fact that Rotary has entered into a relationship with Toastmasters the past couple of years has been very positive. I think Rotary recognized that one of the reasons why people join Rotary and stay with Rotary, particularly younger people, is to develop life skills or skills. And developing that relationship with Toastmasters certainly provides the tools to do so. So, okay, everybody's still awake. Anyway, it is a great relationship. There's several modules on there. I think there was a question about which of the modules you would suggest. The 2 that I suggest are how to write a speech and how to give a speech. Very well, very professional, so it's worth your time taking it. I do want to thank all our facilitators. Even though I bombed on my question in the breakout room, facilitator Judy was very kind to me. I misunderstood the question. What I took from tonight, you need to listen more, so I got that out of the breakout room. Judy, hope to see you. You're from Whitby. Hope to see you at Whitby Sunrise Rotary meeting at some point in time when we get back to norm. Thank you to all the Toastmasters and Rotarians for being here tonight. What I was surprised at is the number of Rotarians who are Toastmasters, which really sort of cements the fact that we do have a lot of things in common. There's a lot of parallels between the 2 organizations. Peter Hernandez, I don't know if you recall, we had you set up on the agenda at the district conference, which was supposed to have happened last fall in Toronto. We had you leading one of the breakout rooms. That, of course, never happened. So it's so great to have you here tonight. Mark Blackmore, I had a chance to walk with you and Heather Drakes at the Whitby Sunrise Foundation walk. Really impressed by you. So yeah, great to have you here as well. And I just really hope that the relationship between Toastmasters and Rotary within District 7070 continues to flourish. There is so much in common. And I think there's a mutual benefit to getting to know each other even more. So thank you again, and very well done to all the participants tonight. Thank you. Back to you, Beth.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for thanking our presenters tonight. A special thanks to Peter and to Mark for a great Tuesday talk. I want to just take a moment to introduce our Tuesday talks in May. The title is 2 Drops for Peace, Building Resilient Communities Together. And in this presentation, our presenter, S.R. Martin, will share his experience of transforming from architect to peace builder, what he learned from being a Rotary Peace Fellow, and about how Mediators Beyond Borders International, a Rotary service partner, is assisting districts around the world to build positive peace and resiliency in their clubs and communities. So Mark, May the 11th on your calendar, 7 to 8 p.m. Hope that you will join us, and please register on the District 7070 website. So it's just shortly after 8 o'clock, everybody. Thank you very much. It's great to see everybody tonight, and stay well, and we'll look forward to seeing you in May. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Hey,
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.